lengths right now. Hurricane Florence is already making its presence known. And while everything is looking on the up and up for us, it doesn't mean it's time to get comfortable. We are still under a hurricane watch. Meteorologist Chris Nessman has the latest for us. Chris?
Hey, that's right, Tessa. We are looking at this storm. It is getting close to making landfall. Winds 105 miles an hour, which makes it a Category 2 storm. It's also a very big storm, so that is where there's concern, because I mean, some of these storms, they can be like a Cat 4, but the wind field is really small. This has a very large wind field, so a lot of folks will be feeling those tropical storm and even hurricane strength force winds. Now, the current tropical tracker, this was just put out about an hour ago. Very little changes from our 5 a.m. one, so that's good news. That means they are getting more confident with the track. Shows it making landfall around Wilmington, sliding around close to Myrtle Beach, and then moving across the center part of the state, eventually moving up into the Appalachians and all the way up into Charleston, West Virginia. So good news is it is a weaker storm and it looks like the path is locked in. Bad news is it's slowing down, so rain totals are going to be higher. And even here in Charleston, though we are on that southern edge, we still could definitely feel some of the impacts. Mainly, we are thinking tropical storm force winds. So let's go over these watches and warnings because it's a bit of a smorgasbord here. First off, we still are under a hurricane watch for Charleston and Berkeley counties. Not Dorchester. That's strictly because Charleston and Berkeley are just a touch farther north. Just offshore, and this was just changed under a tropical storm warnings. The waters just off Charleston County, those are tropical storm warning. Again, further up, hurricane warning for Georgetown and towards Myrtle Beach. Tropical storm warning for Kingstree and Florence. And finally, tropical storm watches in effect for Chesterfield, Clarendon, Lee, and Sumter counties. So lots and lots out there. Our rain totals, this is what we're expecting, about 4 to 8 inches. Now, we're leaning more, again, kind of in the middle, about 4, 5, 6. Some folks will be getting upwards of the 8. And then, of course, as it slows down, we will see maybe a few spikes in that. Otherwise, the winds, about 39 miles an hour, right around tropical storm strength, will be fairly common. We're going to have a look at the latest models. We'll show you a couple of them to show you what we're looking at, as those are starting to update as well for the early afternoon. Tessa?
All right, Chris, thank you. And just as a reminder, if you need to jump in your car and head somewhere really quick, you can listen to us on WTMA, the Big Talker. We will simulcast all of our storm coverage on 1250 WTMA. You can also hear us on Nash FM 96.9 and Magic 107.3. Well, Carlton Fire tweeted this out this morning. They want the public to know Edisto Island is under Governor McMaster's evacuation order. Deputies will be going door to door asking homeowners to leave town. They say emergency services may not be available this weekend because of storm conditions. Our Brody Hart's down at the Battery. He's been there most of the morning. Mayor John Tecklenburg told everyone they should leave, but it looks like some decided to stay anyway.
Well, yeah, that's right. So here's the thing. We've got a really beautiful day in downtown Charleston right now, but when you kind of juxtapose that next to this scene behind us, all these boarded up beautiful houses along the Battery downtown, it's kind of a strange image. So you've got these several big homes right here in a row that have plywood over their windows. They're getting ready ahead of this storm. They're not taking any chances. And then really it's not just here that we're seeing this, but actually it's all throughout downtown Charleston right now. We've got a lot of homes, a lot of businesses, a lot of restaurants that are boarded up, that have sandbags right in front of their doors. And that's kind of been the thing here. We were told that 53,000 bags of sand were handed out at 4 different locations. I spoke with a woman who lives just off of the water here, the bay in Charleston at the Battery. She said she didn't evacuate for Hurricane Hugo, and she's not going to evacuate for Florence either.
You know, for years I tried to think about whether I would evacuate or not, and finally came to the conclusion that I think I'm safer in the house than I am on the highway. Most of the shutters are closed already. There's a few that give onto the piazza that I can easily close myself.
Now, for everyone who is sticking around, one thing that city officials are doing here is giving them a place to park their car. There's 13 city garages open to let people kind of get their cars out of some potential flood zones. But you can see, this is kind of the other thing that we're talking about. A lot of people walking around on the Battery this morning. We've seen hundreds out and about, just like it's a typical day, walking their dogs, riding their bikes, just kind of sipping some coffee. And pretty much all of them say they're not going to evacuate, not heeding the governor's order. He said, the governor said yesterday around 300,000 people had evacuated the coast. They were expecting more than 1 million, really. So that's not hard to believe those numbers when we talk to a lot of people in downtown Charleston this morning and see that so many of them are still sticking around. But we're down at the Battery this morning. That's the latest from here. We'll get it back to you in the studio.
All right, Brady, thank you. We do wish them well. Now, if you are running low on your prescription medicines, MUSC Pharmacy is open at 3 locations. They are the Ashley River Tower, Rutledge Tower, and the University Hospital. They'll be open until 5:30 p.m. today and tomorrow. MUSC is also all South Carolinians in the Path of Florence free virtual health care prep, offering that to them. While Carter and Charleston County evacuation transportation has now been suspended, the city of Charleston now providing a shuttle service to Flowertown Elementary Shelter. A police cruiser will escort recreation vans from 2 different locations in Charleston. A shuttle will pick up from Citadel Mall in West Ashley near Orleans Road. There's also a pickup downtown at Marion Square. That shuttle will run from now until 6 this evening. Well, new at noon on ABC News 4, Dorchester County has opened up a second evacuation shelter. It's located at Woodland High School. That's on Highway 78. DuBose Middle School is still open as a pet-friendly shelter. And right now, officials say there are about 60 evacuees taking up shelter there, with room for about 344 more. Well, Berkeley County has also opened additional shelters. Macedonia Middle School and Cross High School are now open, but remember, you must bring your own supplies. The county has also set up a damage assessment Facebook page. Leaders are encouraging everyone to like that page. They say it will help them get a better scope of the damage and help with the recovery process. Well, first responders want homeowners to be on their A game when it comes to storm prep. Food and water are essential, but that's not all. Sharon Hayes has more on the hurricane checklist.
And here now, it's definitely picked up. It's been nonstop. Yes, gotta earn my keep today. Thank you, ma'am. You're welcome.
Employees were on the go at the Home Depot in Columbia, working to keep their customers' heads above water.
Batteries, you know, for portable chargers, your phone chargers, everything like that. Flashlights, as we see, that are going nonstop. Batteries, water, sandbags. We're actually getting another load in right now.
Oh, we stepped aside as more.
Hitting Florida last year. Oh, we have another set, sorry.
Oh, and more.
Okay. We're cleaned up. Oh, here they come. We're just...
And more sandbags kept coming and going.
I'm just thankful I walked in here because everybody you talk to and every store I've called has been out of sand.
But others came for the basics.
Well, I'm just getting batteries and flashlight, that's it.
And now we realize we don't have any flashlights just in case the power goes out.
Employees say window air conditioners have been selling in case their own AC goes out, but they're also urging people to think about post-storm needs.
If the storms do clear out, we're going to have a lot of sitting water, so having bug spray on hand, and then for post-hurricane, having chainsaws, that kind of stuff on hand.
While employees say generators and gas have also been selling in high numbers.
But we do have a grill, a propane grill that we can cook if the electricity goes out.
Employees urge people to be careful and make sure to use them outside. And lastly,
smoke alarms. That's another big one people don't think about. Just because we're getting rain, it doesn't mean that power lines aren't going to fall and things can catch fire. So in addition to the rain coming down, you don't want to be putting on a fire.
As customers got ready to brave the storm, Megan and her staff kept working to make sure they had the right stuff to do the job.
I'm just thinking about my customers, and you know, I just want to make sure they're taken care of, and you know, one day I could be that person that needs help. So.
Well, if you're feeling a little hungry during the storm, Fat's Southern Kitchen says it will remain open through the duration of Hurricane Florence. Their location is out at Tanger Outlets in North Charleston. Workers say they're extending store hours and even offering deals on meals. Delivery to shelters, hotels, and homes are also available. For more details, they can be found on our website. Get it at abcnews4.com. Here are a few apps proven to be helpful during storms. One is the Nextdoor app. It's a private social network for neighborhoods. It can be used to send out urgent alerts and to share information. The other is Zello. It's sort of like a walkie-talkie. It's free, but it does require a Wi-Fi or network connection. It allows you to communicate with others in the area. And then the FEMA app will send you safety notifications and also tips to help get you prepared. And don't forget, for a list of the latest school and business closings around the Lowcountry, you can visit our website, abcnews4.com/weather closings. And a couple of views before we head to break. You can check this out. Cameras from the International Space Station recently captured this really cool view of the now Category 2 Hurricane Florence. And here's a live look now from Murrells Inlet. Coming up, we have a live report from Myrtle Beach. Stay with us.
All right, good, I guess technically afternoon now, everyone. Florence is coming on shore. Already seeing those outer bands move there, and that is why they also do have those tornado watches in effect. And we have seen one warning so far, which, as we experienced from Irma, these tornadoes, they're very quick. They blow in, do their thing, blow out, and they're usually more EF0, EF1 strength. But still, they can cause localized damage, so that's something they're keeping an eye on as the main part of the storm gets closer. Now, right now, here's a live look at Edisto. No one on the beach, not really a day they should. The surf is definitely getting rougher. 81 degrees right now out there. And looking at our tropical tracker, no major changes from the 5 a.m. this morning. What we have seen, though, is the track is very similar. So, that means their confidence increasing. But it's also slowed down just a little bit. So that brings to concern rain totals, particularly for this southern part of North Carolina and this corner of South Carolina around Myrtle Beach. Expecting quite a bit of rain. For us, we won't start to see that rain probably till Friday afternoon and evening and into Saturday. In fact, for us, I'd say Saturday is going to be our main event. And then by Sunday, it should start to move out and move all the way up into West Virginia and the Appalachians, which they're always the concern. It's just that rain filling up those valleys. So river flooding will be a concern in that part of the country once it moves through. Our spaghetti plots back that up very nicely. Now, do notice there's still an odd outlier or two swinging down to the south of the coast. That is the unusual path. Most of them do have it coming inland in North Carolina and moving over the Myrtle Beach area, which would mean less impact for us, but we still could see something. So let's take a look at the wind. So this is the tropical storm force wind percentages. This is not the actual winds. I've had a couple people going, wait, we're going to get close to 100 miles an hour. No, we're not even close to that. But you see at Charleston, we're in that 80% category. So a pretty good chance that we're going to be seeing tropical storm force winds, which is 39 miles an hour up to 74. We're going to probably lean more in the 30s and 40s. So that is something to keep in mind. Obviously, the farther north you get towards McClellanville, those chances pick up. Looking at the European models and the different models, let's watch this. So the European is one that follows the coast. So this is one that if it did follow this path, we would have more impacts. But even with that, simply because these things spin counterclockwise, we would not get a lot of storm surge. It would just mean a bit windier and more rain, so the winds would be more on the stronger side of tropical storm force. That's the European. You look at the GFS, and it does a very different track. Mainly, it goes further north along the state line. So if that were the case, we would get less wind, less rain. In fact, more of the problems would be more up north. Places like Charlotte would get a lot more rain if that were to be the case. Our National Hurricane Center is splitting the difference, so that's what we're looking at. Looking at the GFS rain totals, again, if it follows that GFS track, North Carolina gets it more. If it follows the Euro track, however, this one doesn't update as often, so we're going to see this one update fairly soon. The brunt of the rain still, though, will be around the Wilmington area. So here's a look at our extended forecast. Again, you look at Saturday, those rain chances really go up, as that's when it's going to be to our north most likely. So we're going to see the rain chances really pick up for Saturday, lingering into Sunday. So winds will be a Friday event. Rain will be Friday night into Saturday and Sunday, and winds will start to taper off come Saturday. And then hopefully cross your fingers that the storm does move along, and by Monday, we're talking more about cleanup, we're talking more about getting back to our lives, and kids getting back to school and things getting back to normal. Tessa?
Here's to hoping. Thank you, Chris. And just as a reminder, if you need to jump in your car and head somewhere, as we said earlier, you can listen to us on our family of radio stations, WTMA, The Big Talker. We'll simulcast all of our storm coverage on 1250. You can also hear us on Nash FM 96.9 and Magic 107.3. Now, under normal conditions, downtown Myrtle Beach would be packed with folks on the boardwalk and in stores. I was just there a few months ago, but with Hurricane Florence knocking on the East Coast, Ocean Boulevard looks more like a ghost town. Dan Lamparello from our sister station in Portland, Maine, has traveled down the East Coast, and he's been downtown Myrtle Beach since early this morning. Dan, what's the feeling out there right now?
Well, the one word to describe the area down here is just eerie. I mean, as you said, this place is usually packed with tourists on a summer day like today, but there's really nobody down here. And the biggest thing, the businesses had to close last night around 5 p.m. And get out of here. They had to evacuate and secure their areas, but there was a lot of people that just didn't. Over here, these people didn't board up at all. They're going to be left to the full forces of Florence as this storm comes in. And obviously, we don't know the full force yet of what kind of storm surge we may see here in Myrtle Beach and what type of winds we may see. But it seems like they're pretty close to the ocean here, and they may see some damage come tomorrow. But over here, I mean, there are a few stragglers taking pictures out here at the beach. Obviously, this is definitely a sight for some tourists. The waves aren't getting too big just yet. But again, a lot of the businesses took the advice. They boarded up, they added sandbags. The EOC here in Myrtle Beach wanted to make sure people were secure and safe. Usually this morning, the only people we saw out and about were the police department because there was a curfew last night, and that's going to be in place again today. So, I mean, as we were saying, there are a few stragglers out here taking pictures, and I have a feeling that over the next few hours, we'll see a lot of these people start to file out as we start to feel the first bands of Hurricane Florence make their way in here to Myrtle Beach. But we're live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina tonight. I'm Dan Lamparello. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right, Dan. All right, Dan, thank you. Hurricane Florence is closing in on the East Coast. We showed you an earlier look earlier. ABC's Emily Rao joins us now with the latest weather conditions from the North Carolina coast.
From Maryland to Virginia, the Carolinas, and now even farther south to Georgia, millions are bracing for Florence.
It's going to be frightening. It's a scary sight, and it's not going to be good what's going to be coming. So.
With the window to evacuate now closing,
please leave now.
Hospitals in Myrtle Beach racing to get patients out of danger after the storm shifted south.
We're trying to get everybody out, and as such, we're shutting the hospital down.
Those left near the coast hunkering down. Tom Pale, a commissioner in the Outer Banks, estimates hundreds of residents are staying put.
The people who are living here and make a decision to not evacuate are making that decision with full knowledge of what that means.
The massive system is churning closer and could bring a deadly storm surge. A 13-foot wall of water predicted in some areas with a 1-2 punch of up to 40 inches of rain.
Hopefully all these houses will be here when we get back because, I mean, we love this beach. We live here year-round.
Officials worried about flooding at this nuclear power plant in North Carolina, along with 15 other reactors in 3 states, as the eye of the storm swirls closer.
Florence is still moving slowly, and people along the coast are preparing to be without power for days or even weeks. There are armies of utility crews headed to the southeast part of the country as they anticipate mass outages. Emily Rao, ABC News, Wilmington, North Carolina.
The Virginia National Guard is gearing up to respond to the Carolinas. 3 teams are conducting missions with local responders as they prepare for what's ahead. Master Sergeant A.J. Coyne says his team is ready to assist in any way possible.
Those first responders are already, tasked, and they have enough to do. They have enough on their plates than have to worry about all these other things once the storm hits. So our soldiers are there ready. So many of these guys and girls, that's why they joined the National Guard.
A big tent has been set up so soldiers can rest and recharge. That way they'll be ready to respond when needed. Well, Anheuser-Busch has halted the beer making process. I know your heart's broken. It's so they can actually send water to the states affected by Hurricane Florence. The company says it will send more than 300,000 cans of drinking water to the Carolinas and Virginia. Anheuser-Busch says the water will be transported from the company's brewery near Atlanta. The water will then be delivered to their wholesale partners along with the American Red Cross and the South Carolina National Guard. All the waves kicked up by Hurricane Florence is a surfer's delight. Get a look at this video out at Carolina Beach in North Carolina. I'm pretty sure that might be dangerous. Remember, you can download our ABC News 4 app to stay up to date with the weather 24/7. It's free right now in our app store. You can use it to track Hurricane Florence, of course, and also stay up to date with breaking news while we get ready for the storm. Here's a live look right now at Atlantic Beach. Things starting to look a bit dismal. We'll be right back.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. All right, so let's take one last look at our Florence forecast. So first off, high uncertainty. I'd actually cross out that high. There's still some uncertainty with the track, but it is getting narrow. That has just changed as of the most recent update. It's very similar to what we saw this morning, and that's good. That's what you like to see. When they flip-flop a lot, that's when it's a little more concerning. There's been less flip-flopping. What we are confident on are tropical storm force winds here in the low country. So those kind of winds and heavy rain, I think, will definitely be a thing. Pockets of flooding will be an issue. And then, of course, our guarantee dangerous surf. So when Tessa talked about the surfers being like, I don't think that's safe, I think you're right in saying that.
And speaking of that, our chief meteorologist, Dave Williams, actually snapped some pictures out on the La Palms there. Look at them. Plenty of surfers enjoying the swell from Hurricane Florence. Now, typically, like with these dangerous rip currents, I mean, how close to that, to shore are the rip currents? How close can they be?
They can be very close. So, I mean, in this case, I mean, it really is at your own risk. And, the thing with beaches, you can have some beaches where, yeah, the rip currents aren't that bad. And then you'll go half a mile down the beach and everything looks the same. And all of a sudden you encounter a really bad rip current. So it is.
And I'm sure they've got to have the caution flags out there warning them. Please do not get in the water. Rip currents in effect. It's very dangerous. But of course, we don't advise anybody to do anything like that. Of course, they say, hey, dude, this is a perfect time to do all this. But it's not actually. We want you to be safe because a lot of deaths can happen with folks that are in the water. I want to remind you about the lane reversals. I-26 will return to its eastbound direction. That's going to start at 6 o'clock this evening. They say it's going to, according to the Highway Patrol, we had Trooper Bob Barris on one of our earlier shows, says that will take about 4 hours. It'll start at the 526 interchange and work their way up I-26 and open up each exit with the flush cars as they go all the way up to I-77. And that's some live video right now showing some cars there. Highway Patrol cars there turning around. So be careful if you're going to be out there. We're hearing that the Publix stores are open, Target stores are open, Sam's was open earlier. They are closed now. Don't forget, if you're going to get hungry, Fats out in Tanger Outlet, they will be open as well. But we just want you to exercise caution. If you think that your family might be in danger, you're in a low-lying area, you still have some time to get out. And there are some other routes that you can take to get out of town. So make sure you research those very well, but we do want you to be safe and do expect us to stay on air. It could be longer as the storm gets a little bit closer, so that we'll let you know about the conditions outside, especially, Chris, because we could be expecting some flooding.
We really do. I mean, in fact, let's go ahead and pull up. This was just updated courtesy of Sonia Stevens pulling it. This is a new 7-day forecast for rain totals. Now notice Charleston's in that brighter orange. So while we're not getting a direct hit because the track of the storm, they are forecasting to slow down a bit more. That means more rain for us. Now, obviously towards Wilmington, they're getting over 15 inches. That's the high point on this map. For us, we're looking, 4 to 6, but some places could be getting close to 8, maybe even a bit more. So that's kind of the wild card. Luckily, it all does look like it'll start to clear out by the end of the weekend. And again, I'm still crossing my fingers that particularly by about Tuesday, Wednesday, everything can be as normal as possible.
All out of the way and with as minimal damage as possible. So of course, keep it locked right here. You can follow us on all the social media platforms. We'll be giving you every update that comes down about Hurricane Florence. The next one comes down about 5 o'clock, a soft one about 5.
Main one about 5. They'll give, especially when storms get close, they give intermediate updates around 2. So we'll have those, and Sonia Stevens and Dave Williams will be in here for that. And then 5 o'clock for sure, that's always the big one, because that takes into account a lot of the model updates that occur.
All right, and speaking of 2, coming up at 2 this afternoon, we'll have that